So hello everybody. I am Lauren with Reinventing the Tattoo, and welcome to the Tattoo Weekly, a weekly show where Gabe Ripley, Jake Meeks, and myself go over some of the best topics from the week, some stuff from the archive, and all other types of highlights and stories that we like. So tonight we have a few things on deck that we're excited to share with you from Reinventing the Tattoo and our affiliate, the Fireside Tattoo Network. So before off, Gabe and Jake, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, go
Just
for
I'll
it, Gabe.
introduce myself first. Jake, while you're there, head back to your YouTube channel and then make sure that you're going live.
I
Fireside
just
Tattoo
checked that.
Network YouTube.
It looks like
You probably need to. Cool.
do
So,
I need to click go live? There we go. Let's
Gabe
see.
Ripley, and I am the computer geek behind TattooNow. I'm currently out in my daughter's going to get tattooed by a Fiat Tuscan tomorrow, which and I've got a couple of clips from some. These shows are amazing to do because there are so many things happening that it's great to be able to review them and then pull out a couple of awesome chunks. So yeah,
Yeah.
typically on Instagram, I never update it. TattooNow.com. I do also events. We'll talk about the BYOB. One of my clips is also a somewhat blatant ad for an. But I am happy to report that this is streamed Tattoo Now and on the Fireside channel. So we've got people watching that now. I haven't checked out the Facebook. Well, you guys are talking. I'll hop on Facebook, see if it's going.
Sweet. I'll do a quick intro. My name is Jake Meeks. I run the Fireside Tattoo Network. You can find us on YouTube if you search Fireside Tattoo. You can find us on Instagram, Fireside Tattoo, and then my personal Instagram, or my tattoo Instagram, I guess, is Plug Ugly Art. I'm a 25-year tattoo veteran, long time. It's basically my only job. So this thing has been fun. This is our third shot at the Tattoo Weekly. We get it like a little bit faster each time, or you guys do. I just step back while all the tech stuff is going on and surf the internet. But yeah, excited to see. We took last week off, I believe. So excited to hear what you guys have been up to since then, and I'll share what we have going on here at Fireside. What's our order of operations here? Do we have
so Lauren will
any
give her
pressing
introduction.
matters?
Give her introduction, and then 30-second introduction clip.
Oh, sweet.
Let's talk about a topic first.
Definitely. So if you guys missed, I am Lauren Gregory. I'm Reinventing the Tattoo, Raw Pigments, Worldwide Ink Magazine. I do all sorts of stuff. I enjoy tech myself, just like Gabe, and I do enjoy traveling. So worldwide adventures are ahead for us. Our next stop will be in Dallas, Texas. I enjoy meeting everybody, working with artists, and all sorts of stuff. So one of my favorite things would be working with like sponsored artists, compiling a team over the last close to 7 or 8 years. Really cool working with all different types of people. So for all of your support over time. I think today I would really like to hear maybe from you, Jake, first, because I have kind of a little bit. I've seen some of the stuff that Gabe has shared.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well, as far as what we have coming up, well, I don't want to spoil it because Gabe's going to pitch the Paradise BYOB. That's really our next big. That's our next big event.
Lauren, do you want to run our 30-second intro clips?
I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. What's it look like?
Yeah. All right, you guys. I will roll the clips. Let's turn our videos off.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Here we go.
I can see it, but I can't hear it.
There is no sound. This is where we do our voiceover. Welcome to the Tattoo Weekly, where we talk about things tattoo related.
We have Jake Meeks of the Fireside Tattoo Network.
I like it. Who put this together?
I did on the fly.
Nice. Well, to be completely unprofessional, what platform did you use to build this in?
We're not going to give away.
Oh,
I
come
mean, I'll give
on.
it to
You
you,
can
just
text it
not
to me.
off to the internet.
Yeah.
No, we
All
just
right.
use one of the cheesy templated sites.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Awesome.
Well, it's great. I love it. I love it. Are you?
So,
So is the plan to do voiceover to start the show with that? Do voiceover and or is the plan to have music or a theme song or something that goes
Yeah,
along with
we'll get some music or a theme song if any. Now's our first plea for not our first plea. Here's
Yeah.
our first call out for theme music. We have some things that we could use, but literally I'm putting this together like this afternoon while
it?
I'm
Yeah, it's
vacating.
cool.
But
I like it. I like it.
And so next we do have a lot of people beaming in from all around.
Do you want to turn your camera back on, Gabe?
Oh. We've got hello from Jersey. Let's see. Sorry.
Nice.
New Jersey. I mean, I guess it's nice. I mean, some parts can be. Hello from a flag I know. We've got Gustavus, which means Flamengo, which means Flamengo. Brazil. They're from Brazil. Hi from Michigan. What's up?
Sweet.
From Brazil. Hello from California. From Australia. Thank you very much for letting us know that this is working. So we have a topic. We're supposed to pick a common topic. Lots of people ask questions about. We could talk. I don't know.
Okay.
What was your most frequent question this last week?
I don't know if I had any frequent questions this last week. I'm working on a bunch of the same tattoos right now, so nothing new. I don't know that I got any great questions. Lauren,
how about this? So you work at tattoo stuff. How about we talk about the what happens often when getting into tattoos, they start off and they want to get a small tattoo, like small tattoo, and the tattooer is always like, well, I think you should get a little, do it bigger, and the client's like, no, I don't want. Maybe we can talk a little bit about how to properly a tattoo, and maybe a little bit about that struggle, because it's not about for a bigger tattoo. It's really they want to make a better tattoo.
Sure.
How about that?
Yeah. I think that's a good topic. I think there are quite a few variables in choosing a placement and size of a tattoo. You have a lot of people when they first get into tattooing or think they want to get a tattoo, and they want what we've always called cornucopia tattoos, where they want everything that they ever loved or thought that they wanted in this one tattoo, and it's going to be their only tattoo, and it has to fit on their wrist or on their shoulder or whatever it is. And sometimes you just may not be able to talk people out of that. You do often have to get them to simplify and prioritize this, the elements that are going to go in the tattoo, because obviously you can't cram everything in the world into a 3x3 space. But I think the most important thing is to leave yourself an in. So no matter what the size of the tattoo, when I did smaller work, I think as long as you're leaving yourself or another artist an in, so you're not like framing the tattoo out completely where it can only live as that one thing, and you make it difficult for anyone else to blend into it or work up against it. I think that's really the biggest mistake that you can make as either as the tattooer or as the client, is making that hard cutoff point where it's difficult to extend.
They're always going to get a sleeve or a back job right as a tattooer. They're always going to come back to.
Most of the time.
Well, most of the time, right?
Yeah.
But the other often just want something really small and simple too. But right, so and I've done this myself. I put something small and simple part, like I'm like hand web, so that when it came time to do my full hand, I had less real estate, less options. So when it came from a back piece, we had to like work. So sometimes it's also just the simple ideas that we're trying to figure out how to. Well, like you said, if you're always leaving ins and outs. Your first tattoos, did you do any testers? Any tattoos?
Oh, I will definitely say yes on that. I think that a common thing that I've heard, if you don't know where you're going and your ship is just basically going to sail astray, but if you have a plan, you'll end up at your destination. So I think visualization and actually having those conversations to open up clients' eyes. I was, pretty young when I made my first decisions. So just at least having the conversation of talking, well, what if, because if they don't really know, they are going to make more of those, less likely. But yeah, I have I really wish I would have waited on a lot of that. I've got, pieces up my arms, and obviously I've got a tattoo here that I regret, but stuff like that. I think that and had that conversation much sooner about, what to expect, what you possibly could do, even if it's just a off the wall idea. It at least gives me somewhere to point towards, that with, the types of tattoos. Well, style, I wouldn't have thought that, 13, 15 years ago. Yeah, my first tattoo was actually in my kitchen, and my boyfriend's dad had a shop. So we decided we were going to do a handmade, got like a Mercedes sign or something, not the actual peace sign. So that was pretty embarrassing, but
You know, and
it is what
you
it
got a
is.
Mercedes logo thinking you were getting a peace symbol.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it,
Right.
the one that has line down,
Yeah,
but that was later fixed.
that's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good.
mapping out possibilities would have really changed my mind quite a bit.
Mhm. Yeah. Another thing that comes into play a lot is cost, and so people will want to, keep to reduce the size of something, to reduce the amount of time that it takes, and keep it within their budget. And my old, I'll call him mentor, but a guy that I tattooed with for years, who had been tattooing about 10 years before I started, he used to tell people, for the time that it takes me to line, shade, and color something the size of your hand, I could outline an entire sleeve. And so then we've started a project that we can chip away at, as you can afford it. And so I found that worked really well, because people would say, like, yeah, I want to start with this right here, but eventually I want a sleeve. Right now, I just want to do this on my shoulder. And it's like, well, if eventually you want a sleeve, just go ahead and let's design a sleeve, because if we do this, now we're limited in what the sleeve, can actually be. So
I apologize. I'm using some Bluetooth headphones, so it sounds like my mic for people. But I'm also trying to change my do this while we're actually recording. So I'm.
you sound
come back in.
you sound okay to me. You were a little pixelated to me earlier, but I can't tell now if you are or not. I've got you up on a smaller monitor, but that's the thing with live stuff, I guess.
It is. I thought with it would be really people like claim skinners, but help that different sections of the body, just with like light and darks and positive and negatives, so that you don't have to like fill it clearly, and like fill up all the ideas at once. Like or have some sort of symmetry planned a little bit in advance. You can start collecting, and and almost it'd be kind of like guided bodysuit collections that start like those little butterflies build into the field that turns into the back piece.
Yeah, absolutely. That's tons of ways to approach that, I think. But yeah, Lauren, to your point, just if you can at least if you could just visualize what you think, like symmetry is a good point. Some people, as soon as they get something, they just know they need something to match it on the other side. I'm very asymmetrical. I don't want I try everything that I design. I try to sweep it kind of in a direction so that I intentionally avoid symmetry. Was that my? Did you guys hear whatever that just was? It might be my headphones saying they're about to die. I don't know.
Oh, that was a viewer. Jason says that your your screen's pretty pixelated.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, but yeah, another thing, like visualization is so important. We are the tattoo industry is growing, and we are dealing with a general population. So even if a sector understand, there are a lot of people who just don't really understand that whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Another thing, Lauren, that you and I, a little bit off topic, but along the same lines, you had reached out about a video that I put out through Fireside a while back on the whitewash series of gray washes. So inks that are somewhere in between an opaque gray and a gray wash. And you said you had a couple of things you wanted to hit on when it came to those. I didn't know
Oh
much
yeah, I
about
was
those when I did that episode, but I was curious
sure.
what your thoughts
So
were.
yeah, back in 2016, we'll just kind of keep it a little bit vague for now. But back in 2016, when that wash was kind of formulated back and forth, I actually worked with the artist last week in Chicago, and he was talking about the way that you tattoo, if you're very aggressive versus if you're working on the surface of the skin, and using that to kind of come out with the effect that you're going for. And you can definitely, the way that he was working, he did a portrait on Block, his manager, and if I can pull that up for you guys, I will, and you'll be able to see just the way that he works, and he kind of stays on the surface basically a lot less aggressive.
So very kind of light, a very light hand, and just kind of slowly building up washes. And so, in case we glazed over that and people don't know what we're talking about the ink manufacturers now that are making a gray wash, so black with the gray wash series, but they add just a little bit of white pigment that gives it this like slight opacity when it's fresh, but really doesn't have a huge effect on it whenever it's healed. At least that was my experience, and that's what I did. That's what I kind of illustrated in the 3 Minutes to Better Tattooing episode that I did on the whitewash series. But you're saying that that there's actually a formula that maybe is a little more opaque or is noticeable.
Yeah, a little bit more. I'd say that the maybe that you were using, but it also definitely has to do that. So if you'd like, I'd love to bring in that artist to kind of talk to you about that, because as we were seeing, and the way that he works was noticeably different. And also it'd be fun to talk to him about cover up work. And he explains it as, or describes it as, being chaotic, but I could definitely pull up some of his work where he's tattooing cover ups. Yeah. But it looks like a gray wash, and it's mind boggling the way that the heel looks, because a lot of people do approach opaques and then they're going to jump to opaques for a cover up, but it's notably different. Down the arm that's done in a gray wash, it's going to look different with that opaque look to it. It's much milkier, and but basically some of his methods are really.
Yeah, I'd love it. Can you pull up some of his work while we're talking about it, or is it?
Sure.
No, do we need to turn our cameras off? Yeah, I'm curious to see. The ones that I used there was a noticeable difference when it was fresh, and there's a noticeable difference in the ink cap. But whenever it was healed and settled in, I really couldn't tell much of a difference at all.
Okay, sure. Yeah, give me just a second, and I will find. I wasn't up, but yeah, that's
sorry. I just when you texted me the other day about it, I thought, well, that might be something interesting to bring up on.
It is. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, because people do definitely they're nervous or intimidated with a new set and think, oh, this, and that's a pretty important question that I get asked all the time.
The thing that I noticed about it was, I guess I could turn my camera back on while you're, or have you pulled? Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll let you show then, and then I'll continue.
Okay, so this is actually if you can see through here, a big cover up.
Okay.
But when it heals, it looks, a little bit dark now, but when it heals, it'll definitely heal like a gray wash. But if you can see, this was all throughout in there. It's not very dark.
Not super dark, yeah.
No, but definitely this mythology is, it isn't just like what it seems from what the way that he's dipping, and very interesting.
And he is using what series of whitewash inks?
The whitewash from Raw is what he's
from Raw. Okay.
Gotcha. He is. This was done quite a while ago, so I'm sure he has some healed stuff that we could share as well.
Okay. And see that when it's fresh like that, those medium grays do look kind of opaque, but that's what I had noticed as well. And I could really tell in the on the lighter end. So from you'll go from a dark to an extra light, like 4 steps: dark, medium, light, and extra light, and gray washes. And the dark and medium, I really couldn't tell a difference at all. In the light and extra light, where you could really tell that there was some white pigment mixed in with them. And when the pigment went in the skin, normally with light and extra light, it gets very spotty and the irritation of the skin shows through. But that white, that slight opacity made it easier to see where where you had saturated and where you hadn't. And so I came kind of to the conclusion by the end of the episode that really it was more of a tool for the tattooer to be able to see where they've worked and where they haven't more easily. And then at the end of the day, or after the heal, there was very little noticeable difference, and in my experience. But I wasn't using the raw whitewash. I think I was using the first ones. That's not Eternal. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why I can't think of it.
Technique has a big role to play with it, because I've definitely seen a lot of side-by-side comparisons that I could see more of a difference in, but definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
we should definitely have
from size tattoo size to
Sorry.
People are digging their stuff, which is fun.
Anyone using whitewash pigments? I haven't looked at the Fireside. Has anyone had anything to say about it? I haven't looked at the Fireside chat here yet. No, nothing about.
And another thing too, if you do have whitewash, we definitely recommend having those ink shakers. That's really important with that to keep it mixed.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could be mixing it regularly, but keep one of those handy, and it definitely help.
Gotcha. No, the only chat that I have is about how glitchy Gabe is.
Yeah,
that's
3 streams at the same time, or 4 streams. I was testing all the streams on this wireless, so I've shut it off.
Gotcha.
The good news is the tech that we're using in theory is downloading straight to the computer, so the replay should be better.
Yeah. That is
cool.
nice.
Yeah, we have some clips to roll too that'll definitely come through in much higher quality for you guys.
Okay. Cool. What kind of
who's going first with the clips?
Well, I've got Paul on deck. If we want to talk about Paul.
Okay. I've been doing the TattooNow interview again. I've done them on and off for years. All this is rolling, and I need a new clip every week. Every Wednesday at noon, I've been doing a tattoo. And so Paul Talbot is an amazing tattoo. I know it's hard to. I need to get a fucking thesaurus, but he's a musician in like the '80s. He's like a punk rocker from England. Designer into the I don't know, kind of art broody kind of. I don't know what the exact term is, but it's designing tattoos. And let's see. I think this about his transition in the '80s, '90s. I think it was '80s to from music over to and let's I'll shut off my camera until the video starts. We're also anyway, so Paul Talbot is something I don't even remember when I first became aware of it.
Let's roll.
How did you transfer over from the music career into tattooing?
You might ask me that question, and I've been thinking about that for all morning, thinking, do you know what? I have no clear line memory. I can't draw a line straight through it. So,
sure.
Because I grew up around a culture of rock and roll and motorbikes, and I was known as that kid that could paint and draw anything from paint flames on a motorbike tank to draw stuff. And pretty much from 18 or 19, I just always had, like a couple of friends or, that were either a close friend or a friend that was once a friend of a friend that did tattoos.
Sure.
And through conversations and just being fascinated with any art form, stuff up. And then you have conversations with people, and then, somebody would be like, hey, like a customer's asked me to create this tattoo and I've no idea how to put it together. Could you help me out, man? And draw it up or something.
Whereabouts is this, and what kind of music have you listened to? Like, what kind of, paint a picture of the scene of what? Okay.
This is going to be from like the mid 80s onwards, really. And so I'm kind of hanging about in a couple of different tattoo shops, not on a regular basis by any means. I was by sort of 18, I was a professional musician. So I'm very fortunate that I go on tour. I make a little bit of money, not nearly enough money, but I make a little bit of money to. When I'm home, I'm like home for 3 or 4 months, just basically hanging around, writing music for the next album, or to go, or preparing to go on tour again. So I've got a bunch of free time. And so you can kind of, sit around drawing in a tattoo shop for a couple of hours and things like that, because you haven't got anything to do for 3 months, And I think that I just sort of accidentally sort of picked it up, bit by bit, but from just through conversations. And it wasn't until probably the early 2000s that the art work in tattoo started to look like something that I could make with my skill set, So that kind of punk rock inspired, flyers, the Jamie Reed thing, the David Carson thing from Ray Gun magazine from the early 90s, all of that kind of grunge typography and everything. All of a sudden, I started to see it like really early on with God. Combo was really early to that. Noon was really early to it. There's a Canadian artist called Jan Black that was doing stuff that was just crazy out there, And I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, well, hang on a minute. If I can do this, then I'm way more interested in than I was 5 minutes ago. Because the thing with the artwork, whereas I really love the artwork, I love Japanese traditional stuff, and I still dig the kind of tribal stuff, but the Leo Zulueta stuff from the mid 80s, the kind of original. But for me, it never really spoke to me, because my thing as a punk rock kid was always, I'm not Japanese, I'm not religious, I'm not in a tribe. Where's the artwork for me? Where's the Misfits logo? Where's the Black Flag logo? Where's stuff that speaks of my world right now, And of course, nobody wanted to draw that anti-Thatcher, propaganda on people's arms.
Sure.
And I think it kind of just came. It kind of came to me. If you want to look at the tattoo stuff, just put up the other profile. It's Paul Talbot Tattoo. So this is more the painting and music profile. There you go. So, if you look at even those first 2 pictures on the Instagram, you can see that there's an influence of like punk rock flyers and graffiti and, all that kind of stuff. And I guess it wasn't until.
Awesome.
Paul's a real, actually, multimedia artist, and it's awesome to have caught up with him. He's got a that tattoo show. I don't know if people have checked, but if you go to YouTube, that tattoo. He's doing the other. Jason's the other fellow's name. They're awesome. They really
Chris Harrison.
Chris, there we go. Chris Harrison. Oh, Chris Harrison. Yeah. Oh, all right. Chris, there we go. Thank you. Great. Between the two of them, they're like back in. Yeah, definitely check out that tattoo show. And they're all the different product. Yeah, check out that tattoo show. And then who's the next clip?
Let's share what you spoke about with Veronica.
Yeah. She's so this is definitely a different mindset for me. It's cosmetic tattooing. Sent to Brussels with us to the Brussels Tattoo Convention. Nick and the whole Reinventing crew. I love catching up with different types of people. She started talking about taking the tattoo machine and going after people's eyes, not eyeballs, but the eyes, like tattooing right in there. It was pretty intense, and she's got a great story. It was really awesome interviewing this. Yeah, so I'm excited to just people check out her work. She's her very in tune with sets, manifesting, basically taking action and putting out the positive energies to action, positive energies, and it's not in a hokey way, an actual, this should, is what. Anyways, she'll speak for herself here.
I'm very excited to catch up with you. Well, first to kind of through the videos, but then to actually get over to Brussels in person. Wow. Anyways, thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And so, well, how is it? You're based out in Los Angeles, and first, let's talk a little bit about what's going on now, Brussels, but then we'll go into your backstory, because obviously you have a long story to tell about worldwide kind of events, as well as how tattooing has affected it. But for people that are just kind of tuning in and are wondering who you are, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now, in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. First of all, in LA, I am a permanent cosmetic and medical tattooing professional. I started this journey about 6 years ago. I was really bored with my life, and I was kind of making the same repeated mistakes over and over. So I needed to find something that was going to scare the shit out of me, literally. So tattooing somebody's eye really scared me, and it started out as something that was supposed to just kind of keep me pained, and it turned into a passion. So after going to school and working at it for a couple months, I opened the first permanent cosmetic and medical tattooing studio in Long Beach, California.
And you were going straight for the eyes. That is pretty amazing. It's the dance that the cosmetic tattooing and custom artistic tattooing play are. It's interesting because they are the same act, but they're drastically different.
Absolutely.
But they the effect. Again, I've thought about it before, but when you were saying it like that, it amazes me how much courage you must have to really go after it. So you opened up the first, it was like 6 years ago, and it was the first cosmetic tattooing in LA. Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
It was still a very gray line back then. The city didn't really know what to do with this kind of art. So it was kind of in a gray line. So yeah, I was the first one to be legal.
Awesome.
So she's awesome. The full interview covers her start in South America, some of her travels, and again the mindset stuff. But part of going going through crazy adventures just really makes she's gonna have to sift out like what works will actually make positive changes in your life and lifestyle. I believe that her and/or Ivana, I know Ivana is ready to do a mindset stream. So I'm pretty psyched about that.
Yeah, maybe one of these times, Gabe, you could share some of the conversation with Ivana, because that was very interesting and motivating as well.
Yeah, she's appreciates how reality. It's like neither of this couple. As partnership, they don't. They understand how gritty, shitty life can be, but how it is positive mindset get you out of it. Otherwise, you get stuck. And like tattooing, it's so easy to get stuck in it because enabled, and one of the things I put forth is tattooing, really exactly who they want to be. The tattoo act makes clients become be often. But yeah, so those Ivana's clips too for sure.
How many of these interviews have you done recently for TattooNow?
Well, I have like an archive. I have like
yeah. I mean, just in the
I have two lost you here that I apologize to people that haven't edited. Wednesday. From Loose Screw Tattoo.
Yeah, he's so good.
So sick, really cool character.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. Real artists, not real artists, and illustrators. And people who already have an illustration and artistic background, find tattooing. I mean, I do love it. I take a somewhat amuse. It does amuse. Illustrators are like, oh, I'm going to get into tattooing for the money. Better than that. It's like, well, you could paint way better. 2:00 in the morning in your house with no. Like you poke holes into a human being, to achieve the same effect is a whole completely different story. But anyways, yeah. I might have he'll be coming up. Hunter Spanks, traditional guy.
I'm not familiar with him. Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago. Again, it's traditional guy. So it's fun again to be able to different people using this medium is. So yeah, I guess I'm doing, and then I'm also doing ones on Wednesdays too. So we'll do like maybe twice a month of Reinventing the Tattoo business on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. and then at noon I'll do the interviews or panel, whatever. And I'll try to shift it up a little. Shows out there that we just keep interviewing people, but
there are lots of them these days. But yeah, but you know, they're all it's all kind of personality based. I've noticed listening to some others. Well, no, you know, just like in any in any like world or topic at the outside of tattooing, like a lot of people obviously love Joe Rogan, and other people really love Tim Ferriss. Completely different guys, both with gigantic, you know, platforms that basically do the same thing, you know, but just different personalities.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss is great. That I love Tim Ferriss for sure. I appreciate Joe. He's obviously more of a comedian, entertainer, you know, guy. Whereas Tim Ferriss is definitely like the efficient 4-hour work week was.
That was really, at its time, that was really an incredible book. I mean, it still is, but at that point in time, that kind of outsourcing your life idea was still kind of new, and it didn't seem very attainable or realistic. But kind of the technology and the internet was just, and things like having virtual assistants and all that was just becoming just kind of in its infancy. And so he was really like on the front end of that. And the way he put it all together to kind of tell that story was really good. He did a great job of that, which and it paid off. Obviously, it made a lot of money at it. Yeah.
Have you ever?
One of these days we could talk.
Have you ever?
Tim Ferriss's?
Yeah.
Whose? Yeah, I listened. I have not in a while. I did. I listened to it quite a bit for a while, but over the last year or so, I haven't. And I haven't listened to much Rogan either. I bounce around a lot. I've been listening to more audiobooks than podcasts lately. So
awesome. Way long form.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's our next? Do you have another video, or are those your two? You have another?
I've got one more. That's it's the BYOB.
Yeah.
Any other videos first, because we're all kind of going. Don't necessarily need to do that one next, but
Okay, whatever you guys want to do. I have just a couple. I had a one from the archives and one for next week, but somehow my Dropbox has lost them. So I'm just going to highlight our most recent episode that just came out this last week. And if you haven't caught it yet, I hope you will. It is so the focus of this series that we're doing with Fireside right now has been on illustrative tattooing and just kind of like storytelling and creating a narrative and trying to kind of drill down and learn a little bit about the processes, the thought processes, the physical processes of what I consider some of the best illustrative tattooers around, at least some of my favorites. And so this past week we had Teresa Sharp on, and share audio. And so let me pull that up and see which one I am showing right now. All right, looks like I'm on the right track.
Yep, make sure you kill your camera.
Yeah, gotcha. Let me do that first, and then I'll share the audio.
Like, how many times have you been asked to do St. Michael versus the devil? Because of the internet, because these ideas keep getting recycled, they keep getting asked for. And I just was like, how about I introduce some ideas that you haven't thought of, or that you haven't seen because nobody's asked for it and nobody's done it. So there's nothing out there to like previously like influence you into it. But it's cool shit that like nobody thinks about because they just aren't fed it every day,
So, sorry guys.
Yeah, that's a real clip of this, right?
What's that?
We're getting more, right? She's great.
She's great. I have one more. I was going to talk about that one just for let me stop my screen share. How do I do that? Okay. That was her talking about how she transitioned from working with clients and developing their ideas into kind of creating her own stories and then finding the right clients for those stories. So if you follow Teresa, you'll know that what she'll do when she's ready to start new projects, she'll just put out 10 ideas. She said, I'm going to do 10 new tattoos this year. And this one is going to be, they're based on some mythology or some like deviate, like some offshoot of some mythology. Maybe she creates a story based off of another story. And then she'll basically, I thought what she was doing was doing the full drawings and then putting those out to sell. But basically what she's doing is throwing the ideas out there, finding a client who's into the idea, then photographing the client and drawing it kind of to them. So, but it's a really cool way to work, I think. And the clients really don't have a lot of input. And I think the clients that she's working with don't care to have a lot of input. That's not what they're they just want to collect something from her. So let me go on and pull up a second clip of hers, and that's really about all I have. Unfortunately, are these two clips. Let me see here. Here is my. Well, I thought I was doing full screen. Maybe I'm not.
I think if you want to make something that's different, that's like going to stand out, it really is an attention to a background and not just like a fade out of black or a fade out of some color. Even when I was doing smaller tattoos, I always was like, okay, now what do I put in this background here? Sometimes those like little background elements really sell the story. If you are thinking about those little foreground background elements, it really just takes everything to that next level. And it's like a piece of like food. It's like you put a steak on a plate. It's a good steak. But if you add those mashed potatoes and a nice little drizzle of sauce, it feels like you're at a fancy restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, so she really is great, and she carries the interview so well. Like, you really have to do anything. She was on, and maybe you guys will remember. That's all I got. So if you guys want to enable cameras and jump back in, feel free. She was on one of the shows, like, I don't think Ink Master, but maybe one of those shows.
She won.
What is it called? Best Ink. Yeah. Yeah, Best Ink. So I guess she just has a great kind of personality anyways, and she has that ability to kind of like, she's not shy on camera at all. And awesome. That's the second time I've had her on the show, and both times have been fantastic. She's really, really good. This next week, I can pull up and show maybe a clip or two, or not a clip, some of their work. But this next week we have Rich Wren. Are you guys familiar with Rich?
Nope.
Yeah. You don't know Rich? Really a great. Yeah, he does a lot of illustrative style work too, and not as big typically. He does a lot more like 8x10, 8x11 kind of size work, but he just is a drawing machine. He just draws constantly, and so he'll do multiple versions of of a single idea, like of a concept. He'll meet with someone and sit down and do 2 or 3 different versions of the drawing for them to kind of choose from or play with. And so it's cool to kind of see his work ethic and also a little bit about where he pulls his imagery from. And his interview is really good. I think everyone will get a lot out of it. I'm getting a ton out of this series. This illustrative tattooing series is awesome. I don't know why I waited so long to do it. Nick Baxter was our first one. Teresa Sharp. Rich will be third. Jesse Smith has agreed to do one with me, and that'll be really cool to see, to get his input. Andy Chambers is going to do one. And tomorrow I'm actually interviewing someone that you guys may not know, but he's one of my favorite artists and the guy who influenced me a lot. His name is Adam Shaw, and he's an illustrator, not a tattooer. And if you guys have followed Fireside for any period of time, you would know him. He's been on the show several times. We did a Find Your Style course together. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was our first live workshop where we took people on and did like a 5-week kind of thing. And he was really, really good. He simplifies form in a way like that I learn more watching him draw than I do going to workshops or even in art school, going through basic drawing, just watching how he simplifies what's in front of him and translates it to charcoal or paint. It's just it's awesome. I mean, he just like you're like, oh, okay, that's just really a sphere. Okay, that's just backlit a little bit right there. Okay, that forearm doesn't really have that much going on. That's just a chunk here and a chunk here, and that's it. You know, and then there's the highlight side just falls out, and there's no line to separate it from the surrounding area. You know, it's just very, very deliberate in the way that he draws. And so I'm excited to have him on. And he will actually be my first in-person live podcast since COVID. We're going to sit side by side right here and do the interview tomorrow. So that's going to be awesome. Can't wait. Yeah. So, but that's all I've got. Do you want to jump into the Paradise thing? Because that's I'd like to.
No, Lord. Good stuff.
All right.
Guys, I have a kind of a conversation piece, but I'm going to start off with, I went to Chicago last weekend and I did take my own footage, but I met John. He's a videographer for Villain Arts, and he sent me a cool little video of my buddy Caesar from Black Ink, just checking out some of the pigments. So I thought I would share that since it's a composed piece. And then we'll jump into that conversation starter because you guys know how I always like to talk about tattoo ink, and there's some pretty interesting research that I'd like to share with you guys.
Awesome.
Cool. So I'm going to jump into that. No. All right. I just to touch on the Chicago convention last weekend, it was sensory overload, we'll say. I mean, there was 800.
We're looking at a icon of you.
You guys see me now?
I can see you.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
last weekend, we're 100 artists. I have not been to a convention since COVID, so it was pretty extreme. But yeah, we made a lot of new friends. A lot of people were really enjoying the Reinventing platform as well. I got to meet community members in person, and I thought that was really awesome to do.
Yeah, that's super cool. Awesome. Did you have another clip
Who'd you meet?
besides that one?
I met, let's see. I was really excited to meet Pony Lawson in person.
Oh, awesome.
Caroline
Okay.
Evans. Yeah, Evans. I met a lot of different people that I can't necessarily pull off the top of my head. But yeah, great time. You know, too much weed over
1,200
time.
artists there?
Yeah, close to 1,200 or maybe even 1,500. So yeah, a lot of different ink companies as well. I counted 7 or 8 ink companies that were present. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. I saw new products. I saw new faces. But at the same time, I did recognize a lot of people. I saw Carl for the first time. He had some health issues, you know, back not too long ago, but he's looking great. That was cool. I got
Carl
to see
who?
some of the Carl Blasmy, Dr. Blasmy, the MC.
Gotcha.
And I did a lot of bio pieces that I've seen on the tattoo collecting podcast. So Jay Grime and Todd as well. So that was pretty unique. I did take a lot of pictures, so I'll be sharing those throughout the collecting podcasts.
Awesome.
So the next thing I want to talk about, it's more or less just like it's not a clip at all. So there's a market study that covers the global and regional analysis of the overall growth in market of tattoo inks. And it's pretty crazy because right now the global market is valued at $93 million in 2020, and it's expected to reach $137.4 million by the end of 2026. So super interesting stuff. So there's a compound, something called
sold.
Pretty much, but not like the tattoos or anything. And that's of like the top 13 companies. Sure. And so according right now, the industry generates about 1.6 a year. And in America alone, I don't know if you knew this, but tattooing is the 6th fastest growing American industry, which is really significant. So as of May 2020, there were 1,000 tattoo shops, with a new one opening every single day. So to compare, in the UK, there's roughly only 3. So I'm curious what your guys' perspective is about the future of tattooing in the United States and we are facing different types of regulations, tons of different companies. As you see, I counted 7 at one convention alone. And really what it says about tattooing and the future of tattooing, because without that ink, without the tattoo itself, there would be no growth. So a new shop every day in the United States is it doesn't sound, but it's a fast growth.
Yeah. And it's something that, whenever we first started seeing the, like the Nexus group, Bunker Hill Capital, and these, when you start these, a lot of these, the investment groups that come in and they buy up tattoo suppliers or distributors or whatever, they're looking, I think, at certain metrics, like industry metrics. And the reason that this stuff is all happening at once is because the industry as a whole, obviously over the last decade, has hit some number in whether that's just in whether it's in growth or whether it hit just a revenue number as an industry that started to pique the interest of these capital groups that work in those ranges. So, like, for example, from what I understand, Bunker Hill, who bought Kingpin and Tatzel and them, they before getting into tattooing, they were really big in car and motorcycle kind of aftermarket stuff. So people who soup up their Honda Civics or whatever, they bought as that industry grew and hit numbers that put it on their radar. They were able to buy up those types of companies and streamline and grow those companies, and then in turn sell them off, which is, I assume, what they'll probably do in the tattoo industry as well. But yeah, you've seen it coming, I guess, for the last decade or so. And I don't know enough about the numbers. And the thing is we tried to do, Fireside hired 3 independent researchers from 3 different platforms about just a few years back, just to get those types of numbers. How many licensed artists are there in English speaking countries? How many shops are there? How many people get tattooed? What's the revenue? And they came up with wildly different answers. And they all searched in different ways. So I don't know how much, when I hear the numbers of, however many billions it does in revenue, or however many tattoo shops there are, how often they're opening, it's like I wish that I saw enough consistency in our own research to know to trust it.
It's a really extensive report that I have a sample of it, but the actual report is 3,000, and it's super in depth. It's actually so in depth of the top 13 companies and their strategies, and it kind of compiles every single thing you could have a question. But some of those larger companies and investment groups definitely can see that. They'll see trends. They'll see basically an open eye into that is available, and it's very extensive. So they put in, it costs a lot of money to compile that type of research, hence the $3,000 price tag on that. But that type of information is people who have you know,
who can justify that? Yeah, who can justify
Yeah.
that expense? And of course, if you were looking to get into the industry or buying companies in the industry, then that's not a very big investment. You probably
No.
buy a lot of $3,000 reports if you're looking at
Sure.
investing several $1 million into the industry.
But yeah, by 2026, APR is supposed to be 5.6%. So it's like, if it is another thing too, when Teresa talked, what's going to keep things original, because we don't want to see a 5.6% increase in the same stuff,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
hope is, and I hope it's hard to have a whole like little rant about this, and I think my things, but my hope is that is like the cultural Trojan horse, right? So it's tattooing. I mean, recently they gave me the whole tattooing is a fad thing. But motherfucker, this fad is lasted as long as humanity has existed. Like, don't give me this fad bullshit. Like, tattooing allows people to become who they want to be, right? In many ways, or on that path, or manifest whatever it is that they're manifesting themselves, or to remember whatever it is they're trying to remember. And my hope is that tattoo, like I said, it's like a Trojan horse, right? So like all of a sudden, big business sees the money, they see the millions, they see or the billions, as it might be, and so they want a piece of it. But inherent and inevitably, they're almost allowing this art that, again, like they're trying to make money off of it, but it's still such a one-to-one craft. Like so, like it's like you can see the corporations coming and taking over the weed business already. But like tattooing or the music business, it took a while, but they did. But tattooing is still such one-to-one. Like you can help somebody become who they want to be, and if they take away everything, they could take away your tattoo machines. Like you could figure out how to, take ash and poke holes in somebody and make the mark to make them be who they want to be. And so I don't know. Hopefully, if all of a sudden, it's culturally allowed, all of a sudden there's millions of dollars. I mean, I don't know. We all are like, we all have unique thumbprints. We all have our own unique damages. We all got fucked up in different ways, right? So like, however it is that we're manifesting ourselves, hopefully, there's enough people want to, tattoo on themselves to become. Anyways, my hope is that more people that are allowed to, not allowed, the more people, that, well, I mean, in some ways, I guess allowed, socially allowed or whatever, the more people that can experience the art of tattooing to help them, do what it is that it can, then the better, and if, ultimately, and I was saying this, actually, I wish more illustrators could stomach the transition. But like the big businesses and stuff, they may make a lot of money off of it, but I don't know. It's really tough to make as much money as I really see. And ultimately, like I said, I'm just gonna end. If more people can get then I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's interesting to see this type of research out there, because it just came out, I believe, at the beginning of July. So I was pretty impressed at those numbers. I hadn't seen anything that concrete put together anytime recently. So it was pretty interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
It doesn't, for me, it become more ambiguous or more like accepted. Like getting great tattoos is still unique,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. That it doesn't matter how many people you see who are tattooed, heavily tattooed, lightly tattooed. If they have a really great tattoo, it always will stand out. So
yeah, when I was traveling over the years, and I don't know if I told you about this, Jake, but I had gone to about 2,000 tattoo shops several years back, and I noticed there is a lot of just regular stuff happening, but some of those things that you did not expect to see are, that ray of golden sunshine of work that's happening that you never would have heard of. So it's, there is a lot that we don't know.
Yeah.
People that aren't using Instagram, they're really tattooing the, for themselves, for their clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I bet. And I think talking about shops opening each day and the more common that it becomes, one thing that's really great about that is that everyone you find more and more unique experiences being created. Like the idea of these really boutique kind of salon-based shops, that wasn't a thing that long ago. A tattoo shop kind of was what it was. No matter now, some it might have been managed better than others, but they typically looked about the same. They typically were intimidating. They played loud, hard music. There were just certain things that you saw in all tattoo shops, no matter what the skill level of the tattooers. They just kind of had the tattoo shop vibe. And now that has turned into that's still available if that's your jam. If you want to go and get tattooed in that kind of place, that's great. It's still there. But if you're intimidated by that, you can go to tattoo shops that are all white and there's no and there are plants and and it's like well lit and they're playing spa music or whatever else. Like you can kind of find something, an experience that works for you, and it's like that's really one of the great things about about the growth.
Yeah, man. I mean, tattooing, again, it allows you to be who you want to be. It also enables people. Since since doing this, I've been on the YouTube News, so I get data that has to do with tattoos again, and it's somewhere in the world there's a shop that's opening up that's like, hey, we are not accept everybody. We love everybody. Come here and you're accepted. This is a safe space to heal from your fucking crazy wounds. And boom, every day it's like that. So within a couple of years, tattooing is going to be represented by a wide, diverse crew of people, more and more every day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, what's left? We're going to jump into the pitch the Paradise event. Tell everyone why they should come hang out with us. Yeah.
Nah, because everyone could go to the website. They could beam in. They'll see the video. It speaks it's spoken for itself at this point, I think. Please buy tickets. Paradise.
Our cameras off.
Yeah. All right. Let's check it out.
Are you ready for Paradise? It's been a long time, but I think that we are all ready to return to Jiminy Peak, October 3rd to the 6th. That's right, it's a Sunday to a Wednesday, but hey, this is definitely no time to get normal. This unique event is going to bring out dozens of artists that will be creating and selling artwork, tons of seminars, discussion panels, even a drunk critique, a live one against our better judgment, and a musical performance by Vapors of Morphine.
Act like an ostrich, stick my head in the sand. Act like an ostrich, stick my head in the sand. Woman out the fever will take you for a man. Act like a gopher, dig a hole in the ground. Act like a gopher, dig a hole in the ground. Love and understanding, they just can't be found.
A lot has changed since the first Paradise, but the essence of these events stay the same. We are gathering for the inspiration, for the camaraderie amongst like minds, for the sharing, for the collaboration. Please join us, create some art, share some inspiration in nature, free of distractions, free of the scene, free of drama. Just an art tattoo paradise.
Act like a possum hanging from a tree. Act like a possum hanging from a tree. Whole damn world got the best of me.
Paradise BYOB is brought to you by TattooNow, which has produced or co-produced the Paradise Tattoo Gathering, the Paradise Artist Retreat, the Worldwide Tattoo Conference, the Emerald Isle Tattoo Sessions, the Venetian Tattoo Gathering, and so many more events. It's kind of hard to keep track of them all. This is going to be a unique event. Paradise BYOB. You are invited to bring your own brains, your own brushes, your own beats, your own booze. Bring your own berries if you're vegan. Please come on out and share, contribute, and let's create art. And on the last day, there'll be an open house, so art collectors are encouraged to come out and check out some of the unbelievable masterpieces that will be available for sale. Check it out. And definitely make sure if you're going to be there just for one day, Monday, Vapors and Morphine will be playing at 7 o'clock at night, and you will not want to miss it. ParadiseBYOB.com to get your Artist Weekend tickets, to register for the extra seminars, to get your Studio 5 packs for the price of 4, to rent an artist or vendor space. ParadiseBYOB.com.
Sweet. Yeah, man. I'm excited. It's going to be great.
My internet's
That does look like a lot of fun.
What and so and there are other people since you made that.
yeah.
Since you made that video, you've had a few other big names kind of jump on too.
Nick Mitchell, we're doing the interview with him. He's doing his caricature seminar. Mike DeVries. Mike DeVries is confirmed. He's seminar. Day where he does like all the theory.
He's got a slideshow, and the second day there's going to be a tattooing workshop.
So it's basically 3D tattooing.
Yeah.
I've been on vacation for 4 days, 5 days now, so
He is
tattooing my daughter,
and
and I'm driving home. I'm just
stay. October. Yeah, there's going to be
yeah.
I think we're going to call it like I don't know, it's like tattoo artist
Shark Tank, but we're going to get like we can't call it Shark Tank, but we'll have like 3 or 4 different
studio owners,
Probably not.
or maybe
4 or 5. We do interviews with people,
so super full,
do like
full
things and
you know,
how to promote
yourself. Anyways, dude.
Yeah.
And
my
mic is.
That trailer looks awesome. I'm really excited. I recognized everybody. It's really cool.
You know what's crazy is that like you were talking about how a lot has changed since the first Paradise, but how many of the people that pop up there on there are like tattoo like personalities or podcasters or whatever now, as opposed to go back to the early ones, and it's all just tattooers, like really good tattooers. And now it's this kind of like evenly mixed, like really great tattooers, some just like YouTube or whatever podcast personalities or whatever else. It's just funny how that's talking about all the changes that have happened in tattooing. That's a big one. It's like, it's a little bit like, they do like podcast workshop, or you can go, if you're a podcaster, they'll do like all these like Podcastapalooza type of events and things like that. It's a little bit like it's a little like a tattooing podcast get together. We should definitely do like a podcasters roundtable or something, just to all share our thoughts or experiences with each other. It'd be cool.
And podcast all on our own network at the same time.
We'll be
yeah.
Begin with a couple more wind.
Yeah, she's doing the color palette, right?
No.
This is the old school guy from
oh, okay.
in California.
Maybe he's from California. I'll shoot you the link. He's been doing interviews with like all. He's old to die young
Really
now.
cool stuff.
And then who else? So I've hit a couple of podcasters I'm trying to bring in to do a live stream.
Yeah,
that's gonna be but this also is a very unique event, so this is definitely like a very much we'll bring the podcasters here, and
it's the fan.
Everyone can beam in, and we'll webcast from the different rooms. I mean, Jiminy Peak is huge,
right.
It's everybody walks around. It's like half outdoors, anyways.
Yeah, that was my one concern as well.
We are,
I was thinking about that. Is this Right. That as this variant gets worse and worse, I was like, I hope the window, like this thing didn't get planned at the time right before they shut everything back down. But fingers crossed.
We're planning
Fingers
it.
crossed.
We're planning it when it was shut down.
Fit 100 people in per room, you know, max.
Masked up, you know, and we. That's
Cool.
the,
I mean, I started off.
the promotion being like, stay home, be in, you know.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's
Well,
like we want people safe, but again, we end up setting up all the shows in all of the different rooms.
Be nice to people.
You know, and stay away from each other. You know, require tests or whatever.
Whatever it is,
People feel comfortable hanging out. There's condos. I mean, it's a ski resort, right? So everyone can hang out in the condos. They can hang out outdoors.
And
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
I'm excited.
It'll
be fun.
You know, running an event in the middle of this environment is like, you know, it's a moving target. Easy conditions. It's nuts. But
Yeah.
and bringing
together all the reinventing
people to you know, to catch up together in person is always fun. Oh,
Well,
yeah. I don't know if it's always fun. Catching up with the reinventing crew in the past has always been fun. This is like a whole new other, you know,
reinvention of the
reinventing crew.
Yeah. I'm going back here before we wrap up. I was going back and looking at the chat on the Fireside page. We've got a decent number of comments and things, but they did, a few folks did get into a conversation about the whitewash inks. So before we wrap up, Daniel Dotto, I may be pronouncing that wrong. Dotto, I'm gonna guess Dotto, said that they've made their own 2-drop whitewash method for years whenever mixing their own gray wash, and so that's kind of how that's kind of how it started. That's what gave the ink manufacturers the idea to do it. I think is that artists were already doing like a couple of drops of white ink in their gray washes to begin with, and I had heard of that years ago as well. I never did it. I never really knew how much to put in there, so I waited until professionals started mixing it and then just bought it. But Jason Leeser jumped in and said that he used to do that as well, but switched over to the pre-mix and would never go back. And I agree. I probably just the consistency of the pre-mix, especially if you're doing large scale, not large scale, multi-session work or anything like that, and you have to come back and you know do it again. I really prefer having the pre-mix stuff and knowing that I have the same ratio that I had the last time that I worked on the piece. So. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there that Daniel mentioned having made the or haven't done it on their own without using the pre-mix. And so if you haven't bought any whitewash inks and you want to try and see what it's about, you could always try to mix up your own. A couple of drops of white in your gray wash and see what you think about it. If you like it, then you can buy it. They actually don't they also make some that are that have a little bit of green or a little bit of red. I think I tried one once that had a little bit of red, so it's meant to give that kind of fresh tattoo look even when it's healed. I don't know how well that would work. I've never tried it, but it's like a gray wash with a couple of drops of red in it. Or does that sound familiar?
I've actually never seen that marketed or anything like that, but it's pretty interesting.
There was for a while. You know, who was the first ink company that was doing the gray wash series? Or the
Silverback?
first one, Silverback. That's who did it. Yeah. They had a red wash basically. They had just a couple of drops of red in it.
Now I think I know your blast from the past.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I never used it. I just remember it.
Cool, interesting.
So
cool.
An hour and 20 minutes in, and Jake,
we have to figure out what's the transition for Monday mornings.
Right. Yeah. I think
morning
yeah, Monday morning is tomorrow morning. I don't mind jumping on and doing tomorrow mornings, and maybe we can talk about it then. But I've been leading a Monday morning drawing group with Reinventing the Tattoo for I guess probably 6 months or so now, since early this year, late last year. Yeah. But I think we're gonna try to focus on really pinning the Tattoo Weekly show down on Sunday nights. And Sunday nights and Monday morning is just a little bit too much for me. So I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna bow out of the Monday mornings and let someone take my spot and try to focus on making this show clean and like a newscast, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah. And in the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we've had Ricardo started my drawing groups at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, which have been really fun. We've touched on different topics, drawing large to small, and we talk about the importance of squinting. There's so much that we cover there too that I encourage others to join in on Tuesday mornings.
Yeah, that's great.
well.
And then Jason is
Thursday.
Who is?
Yeah, Kier's doing Thursday mornings. Yep.
Thursday morning
Awesome.
at 10 o'clock now. Awesome.
Yeah, that's
where
great.
we focus on fundamentals, and apprentices are definitely encouraged. Really, all skill levels are welcome, but she touches on different topics there too.
And Jason Leeser is still doing his Sunday afternoon drawing group as well. So there's a drawing group basically every day, like 3 or 4 drawing groups each week.
And we'll find the Monday is one of the most popular ones. I mean, obviously, it's because of you. But we'll figure
not
out
because of
the momentum somehow. And
yeah. Well, I'm more than happy to jump in on some. Maybe I'll jump in on some of the others as well sometimes. But yeah. But I will do if you want. Well, I'll I can't get up, and we'll do one tomorrow and talk to the group. Maybe we can find someone in the group that wants to jump in and be a part of it, or take it over. I don't know. So.
That'd be awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shall we wrap it up?
Cool. Before we close, I want to encourage anybody, if they have articles or videos or maybe highlights from the Reinventing podcast that we show, to kind of send us a message and let us know what more you'd like to see. And yeah, like Jake touched on, we're going to be expanding with the tech gods to, add some elements to the stream and make it a little interesting. We've got that cool video that Gabe made today. So yeah, it's definitely fun to test out all the new tech gear with this type of stuff.
Yeah, that, and I'm really looking forward to just picking little nuggets of things that are happening in the world of tattooing that slip by, a lot, most all of us probably, and trying to highlight some cool little things that like Lauren talking about the growth numbers and things like that. And if we can get to where we're like posting those links and people can dive deeper, and this becomes a resource for people to kind of keep up with what's happening in the world of tattooing, that would be super cool.
Ooh, was that the idea, Seed? So if you want to be the
there you go.
We could train you how to kill it.
That's right.
Oh, killing it.
That's right. All right. Absolutely. Well, thanks. I guess we've said it all.
This is great.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks. We'll see you guys. I will do the Monday morning group tomorrow. So if anyone wants to jump on and have a coffee with me tomorrow morning,
one thing
8 o'clock.
We should give the camera at least 10 seconds, because when I'm looking for like thumbnails and shit, at the same time, it's very difficult because we're all like, okay.
I will say Tony Urbanic de Gisanto is probably my favorite to find a thumbnail in.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
It's like a different thumbnail every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Cheers.